Is there no way out of my mind, wrote American poet Sylvia Plath. You may be familiar with the term tortured artist, and Sylvia Plath was just that. But who exactly is Sylvia Plath? Sylvia Plath was born October 27, 1932 in Boston, Massachusetts. At an early age, she showed an interest in writing and art and began writing at that early age. She had an IQ around 160. After Plath's father died in 1940, she experienced a loss of faith, religious faith, that never came back to her. Her college life was very dark and depressing. She suffered from ongoing depression and attempted suicide. She received electroconvulsive therapy, which another attempt followed after. She spent 6 months after this attempt in a psychiatric facility, returning to college afterwards. She married Ted Hughes in 1956, who was also a writer, just like Sylvia. Before Sylvia's death, she tried several times to take her own life. On February 11, 1963, she took her own life by placing her head in the oven, her children asleep just in the other room. The rooms sealed off with cloth, tape, and towels. She was 30 years old. When I first learned about Sylvia Plath's legacy and death, I found it to be not only an incredibly sad story and tragic story, but a familiar one. The Sylvia Plath effect was coined in 2001 by psychologist James C. Kaufman. What exactly is the Sylvia Plath effect? Well, it is the belief that female poets were more likely to experience mental illness than any other class of writers. Here lies the beginning of the connection between mental illness and creativity. Is there a connection between mental illness and creativity? If we examine other famous writers, this may have been the case. Poet Edgar Allan Poe suffered from alcoholism, drug abuse, and general instability. Writer Virginia Woolf took her own life by drowning herself in 1941. Poet Sarah Teasdale also took her own life in 1933. Ernest Hemingway faced the same fate in 1961. What about artists? I know we are all familiar with Vincent van Gogh, who is known both for his art and his mental instability. There is also Edvard Munch, who suffered with depression, alcoholism, and later hallucinations. Louis Wayne, another famous artist, suffered from schizophrenia, which notoriously influenced his artwork. What about modern artists? We are familiar with people like Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Chester Bennington, and Amy Winehouse, all famous singers who died at an early age due to either suicide or overdoses. Even old Hollywood lived through this same phenomenon with actors such as Vivien Leigh and Marilyn Monroe, who suffered lifelong mental instability. Vivien Leigh even received electroconvulsive therapy to treat her depression. So what is this connection between artists and mental illness? The Sylvia Plath effect examines one aspect of this, specifically with female poets, but the core concept extends past this. For so long, this phenomenon has had a strong hold on many artists of all variation. Even in our media, we recognize this and have decided for it a stereotype, the tortured artist. Experiencing such strong emotions may very well open the door for intense, deep emotional expression. Sometimes your worst moments can create the most beautiful pieces of art. It can become easy to get stuck in the cycle of suffering, to sacrifice your mental health and happiness for the beauty you create. But at the end of the day, the tortured artist is a myth. This isn't to say that artists don't have an increased risk of struggling with mental health issues. It is actually a very beautiful and interesting theory that resonates with me personally. Yet, the truth is, a tortured artist is just a tortured human being. You do not have to suffer to create great art, and there is never any shame in reaching out for help. Thank you.